Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. So as we said, we'll first have a little discussion today on Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, a little on Rupa and Sanatan, and then proceed to Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's instructions to Rupa. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, as we know, is none else but the personality of Godhead. Shri Krishna Chaitanya Radha Krishna Nahe Anya. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is none else but the combined form of Radha and Krishna. So, we get information on Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's life through many authorized books of knowledge, such as the Chaitanya Charitamrita, the Chaitanya Bhagavad, Chaitanya Mangal. So, Chaitanya Charitamrita has been described by Srila Prabhupada as the postgraduate education. Prabhupada said that Bhagavad Gita was comparable to high school, Bhagavatam to college, and Chaitanya Charitamrita the postgraduate. So, Chaitanya Charitamrita was compiled by Krishnadas Kaviraj, and we have the great fortune of having the translation by Srila Prabhupada. I'm sure you'll have it very soon in the Russian language also. So, to understand Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, we have to approach him through the disciplic succession. Actually, the Chaitanya Charitamrita contains the remnants of foodstuff eaten by Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Just by hearing about Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and his wonderful instruction and pastimes, we get purified. The Supreme Lord can never be understood with our material senses. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and Nityananda have been compared to the sun and the moon. And when you have the light coming from the sun and the moon, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and Nityananda compared to thousands of suns and moons put together. So there's no question of any darkness remaining if you have thousands of suns and moons combined together. Krishnadas Kaviraj says that by the mercy of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, even an ignorant child can cross over the vast ocean in which there may be unlimited crocodiles. Just like in an ocean, you have various aquatics, crocodiles, etc. So similarly, to come to the ocean of conclusive truth or real truth, you have to cross over various crocodiles represented in the form of different philosophies or ideologies. Krishnadas Kaviraj compares our tongue to dry desert. So in a desert, what is the greatest necessity? Water. You need constant supply of water in a desert to make it productive or fruitful. So Krishnadas Kaviraj says similarly, our tongue needs a constant supply of Chaitanya Leela, or recitation of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's pastimes, to make our tongue productive. Prabhupada has explained that there is no difference between Lord Chaitanya's instructions and the instructions of Lord Sri Krishna and the Bhagavad Gita. And there is no difference between Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and Lord Sri Krishna. It says, Mataha parataram nanyat kinchit asti dhananjaya. In the Bhagavad Gita, it says there is no truth higher than me. So similarly, there is no truth higher than Lord Chaitanya's teachings. So even if one is a fool, he can collect the valuable gems by taking shelter of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. So we should endeavor to understand Chaitanya Mahaprabhu by following his instructions and by meditating on his wonderful pastimes. Krishnadas Kaviraj says that Chaitanya Mahaprabhu appeared like a lion. His shoulders were of a lion and his powers were of a lion. And his voice was also like a lion. So he prays that may Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's instructions destroy all our sinful vices. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu at his birth was given several names. He was given the name of Gaur Hari because he was golden in complexion and he was very attracted to the chanting of the holy name, and his very presence attracted people to chant the holy name. He was known as Vishwambar because his grandfather identified that he had all the symptoms, the 32 symptoms that are manifested by a powerful personality. He floods the world with the nectar of devotion. And he was given Gaur Hari, and later he was known as Sri Krishna Chaitanya. So Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's mercy is so great that even a dog can swim across the vast ocean. Even a fallen person can understand his pastimes. So Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, we know his childhood pastimes, how he would stop crying when people would chant the holy name. Once when he was a child, his mother had offered him some sweet rice to eat. He started eating earth. She said, "What is this? I gave you sweet rice and you're eating earth." He said, "The sweet rice is also nothing but a transformation of earth. So what's the difference?" His mother was amazed how this young child knew so much philosophy. Baby Gaur Hari was decorated with gold and diamonds. He was richly ornamented. So once 2 thieves had stolen him, but the young baby bewildered them and brought them back eventually to his house. They would run thinking that they're taking him away from the house and they could rob his riches. But he ended up bringing them back to his house. Finally, for fear of getting caught, they dropped the baby and ran away. Once when he was a young child, Nimai's father, Nimai was another name given to the baby by Advaita Acharya's wife Sita. He was given the name of Nimai because he was born under a neem tree. Another reason why he was given this name was that before Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and his brother Vishwarup had appeared, 8 daughters were born and they all died. So Sita Devi was Advaita Acharya's wife. Advaita Acharya was almost the age of his father. She was concerned that no evil spirit may touch the child, so she gave him the name Nimai. So his father, Jagannath Misra, was a very charitable personality. Just like Srila Prabhupada described that his father, Gorman Dey, was also very charitable in taking care of sadhus. So many pilgrims would stop in Chaitanya Jagannath Misra's house. So once a Brahmin had come and Jagannath Misra had induced him, "Please eat." So he was given some food stuff that he could prepare and offer to the deity. And when the Brahmin had prepared the food stuff and was about to offer it, the young Nimai appeared and spoiled the offering by eating it before it could be offered. It repeated itself the second time. So the Brahmin started thinking, maybe I shouldn't eat, I should just go home to sleep hungry. Brahmin never complains. He's happy with any situation. So he said, maybe Lord doesn't want me to eat. Jagannath Misra couldn't tolerate that. He said, no, you must eat. And I'm going to make sure my kid doesn't trouble you. So he had him locked up at a distance. But at the third time, it was midnight, everyone was sleeping, and as the offering was being done, Nimai again appeared. And when he again appeared, the Brahmin was shocked. He said, oh, again, not you. But then Nimai showed him his transcendental form and revealed to him that how before when he had appeared as Krishna, the same Brahmin had also come as a mendicant, as a traveler. These pastimes of the Lord were recorded in the Chaitanya Charitamrita. He soon became a Sanskrit Pandit. At the age of 10, he had mastered the whole Sanskrit language, grammar, everything. And when he would teach Sanskrit grammar in a very unique way. All rules of Sanskrit will culminate in Krishna. So these were just some small sampling of Chaitanya pastimes for today. We'll give you a few samplings every day. So just like the rivers flow downstream, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, mercy flows upon the most fallen. So Rupa Goswami and Sanatana Goswami, as you know, were very, very dear associates, dear devotees of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. We, as they are part of our theme, will give you a little introduction to the two. Vande Rupa Sanatana Raghuyuga Jiva Gopāl. We devotees offer our obeisances to the 6 Goswamis of Vrindavan. Rupa Goswami and Sanatana were serving under the government of Nawab Hussain Shah. They were born in Brahmanical families. They were very absorbed in Krishna Katha from a young age, but forcibly they were captured by the Nawab Hussain Shah to render government service. And they became the right and left hand of the Nawab. They were virtually running the administration. 500 years ago, the richest part of the world was the Kingdom of Bengal. Historically, there was no United States at that time. There was India, and the richest part of India was Bengal. So it just gives you an idea of how important these two brothers were holding a position. Their heart was in associating with Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. How they were serving the government, in their mind they were always meditating, when will we be able to give up this service and go and join Chaitanya Mahaprabhu? Of the two, Rupa Goswami was able to renounce his government position before his brother. Rupa Goswami, when he retired, he had a lot of money with him. Not rubles, niyat ruble, and niyat dollars. He had gold coins. The rubles and the dollars don't have that much value. The gold coins have more value, isn't it? So, when he retired from government service, he gave us a perfect example. He divided half his wealth and gave it to the Brahmanas and the Vaishnavas. 25% he gave to relatives. And 25% he kept with a grocer for emergencies in future. There were no banks at that time. Anyway, these days, even if you had banks, they close all the time. They used to keep money with reliable grocery stores. So Rupa Goswami was anticipating some possible legal trouble in future. So he saved 10,000 gold coins with a grocery store man. You better not try to keep your money with your productive store proprietor. You may never get it back then. You may say, oh, Rupa Goswami kept it with a grocery store man, so why can't I keep it with my productive proprietor? So Rupa Goswami left his wealth and he met Chaitanya Mahaprabhu in Prayag. Have you heard of Prayag? It's also known as Allahabad. The Ganga and the Jamuna is a very sacred location. And now we have a temple there right on the bank of the Ganges. We got some very nice land and it's right on the banks of the Ganges. Prabhupada was initiated in Allahabad, you know that? Prabhupada spent considerable time of his early youthhood in Prayag. In Prayag, Srila Prabhupada had a pharmacy called Prayag Pharmacy. And Prabhupada made some very nice formula for the tonics there. And Prabhupada was finally initiated in Prayag also. So Prayag is very significant because Chaitanya Mahaprabhu instructed Rupa Goswami for 10 days about the process of devotional service. It is said that just like Lord Sri Krishna inspired in the heart of Brahma the Vedic knowledge, similarly Chaitanya Mahaprabhu inspired and instructed Rupa Goswami with Vedic knowledge to save humanity. Rupa Goswami was a very humble devotee. Bhakti is the mother of humility. As you advance on the spiritual path, you automatically want to become more and more humble. Once Rupa Goswami, as you know, later in Vrindavan, he compiled many valuable literature. So Rupa Goswami was just finishing, he had just finished compiling the Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu, And one day, Vallabhacharya came over there to review his manuscript. Jiva Goswami was sitting next to Rupa Goswami. Vallabhacharya saw the text of Rupa Goswami and said, this word should be changed. So Rupa Goswami, out of respect to Vallabhacharya, changed it right away. So a little later, Vallabhacharya went to the Ganges, went to the Yamuna for a bath, and Jiva Goswami was junior, so he carried his clothes and his lota and accompanied him to the banks of the Yamuna. So as Jiva Goswami was accompanying Vallabhacharya to the bank of the Yamuna, he pointed out that, sir, this correction that you did in Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu is really not correct. The original word was correct. So Vallabhacharya said, okay, change the word back. But initially Rupa Goswami, out of his humility, took the advice out of respect for his senior. So when they came back from the bath, Jiva Goswami told his uncle Rupa Goswami what had transpired. So Rupa Goswami became very upset that Jiva Goswami did not accept what his Vallabhacharya, the senior, had suggested, and he argued with him and got him to change back. So he got very angry at Jiva Goswami, and he banished Jiva Goswami. And after a long time, then he took Jiva Goswami back. You want to hear one more pastime of Rupa Goswami? So, well, we have to get to the philosophy, That's the wait till you start hearing the verses from the Chaitanya Charitamrita. Wait till you start hearing the verses. A lot of the points that we devotees use in our preaching are from Lord Chaitanya's teachings to Rupa and Sanatana. So it'd be nice for all of you to hear the verses also that describe these instructions. So Rupa Goswami was in Vrindavan, where Chaitanya Mahaprabhu had also given him the task of identifying the places that Krishna performed his pastimes. He was constantly meditating. When will I get Srimati Radharani's mercy? Well, another name for Radharani is Dhameshwari. Have you heard this word before, Dhameshwari? Dhameshwari means the queen of the Dham. Place, holy place where the Lord performed his pastimes, that's Dham. And one of Radharani's name is Dhameshwari, the queen of the Dham. So he was meditating, when am I going to get Radharani's personal darshan? Every day, Rupa and Sanatana would eat together. Actually, if you go to the Radha Damodar temple in Vrindavan, there is one room where the Goswamis would eat together. Of course, they would do madhukari. Madhukari means go and beg. And a little bit they would get, they would eat. Rupa's elder brother was Sanatana. So one day, Rupa Goswami manifested a desire, I should offer sweet rice, kheer to my brother when he comes. Radharani is known as Dhameshwari and also Brajeshwari. So he wants to naturally to make kheer. What do you need? Milk, sugar, rice. Malako ri sahar vazna kagda vikhatyate kheer. So, but they were poor. They didn't have all this. They were begging every day and getting some dried chapatis and salt. But in his heart he had a desire to offer kheer to his brother. So, a very beautiful young girl came to Rupa Goswami's residence. She said, you have been fasting for the last few days. And he was fasting because he had been in Vrindavan for so long and he did not have the darshan of Radharani. So he was feeling great separation. Radharani is also anxious to fulfill the desires of his pure devotee. So as he was meditating, how am I going to offer kheer to my brother? A young girl walked in with rice, sugar and milk. And the young girl said, you look very weak, you may not be able to cook. Should I cook sweet rice for you? Rupa Goswami said, no, I can do it. You can go home. So Rupa Goswami prepared some very nice sweet rice. So when his brother came, he tasted that sweet rice, he was amazed. He said, this sweet rice has a very special flavor. It's very aromatic. Every day we eat dry chapati and salt, and today you've got this aromatic sweet rice. How did you get it? So then Rupa Goswami described that he had a desire to offer sweet rice to his elder brother. And as he was meditating on that desire, a young girl came in. So Sanatana said, that young girl was none else but Radharani herself. When the young girl had brought these ingredients, she told Rupa, if you don't cook and eat with your brother, Radharani will be very unhappy. So, yes, Rupa could remember what Sanatana is saying must be true. Then he went, while doing Madhukari, begging, to that girl's house. And he asked the girl's mother, where's your daughter? My daughter? She went to her uncle's house and she hasn't been back for 8 months. So he could understand this was Radharani. So Chaitanya Mahaprabhu gave Rupa and Sanatana, as we said, very, very valuable instruction. As we said, we'll give you some pastimes and some philosophy. First, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu started explaining to Rupa Goswami about the different living entities. He said, the mellow, the devotional service is so deep, I will only give you one drop. In other words, the ocean of transcendental knowledge is so vast that even what you're hearing is only one drop of that vast knowledge. How many species there are that we hear about? 8,400,000. So in text 138 of Madhya Leela chapter 19, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu says as follows: Eta Brahmanda Bharinanta Jiva Gana Chaurasi Laksha Yuneta Karaya Brahmana. In this universe, there are limitless living entities in 8,400,000 different species. And they're all wandering within this universe. The Vedas are so precise that they not only give us information about the total number of species, they also give us a statistical breakdown of different categories. Can any other scientist give that? Forget it. They can't even give you a total, forget a breakdown. And even if they give you some statistics, it is maybe, probably, appears to be, most likely. But the Vedas don't say Mojnabit. They say exactly. Jala Javanava Lakshani Sthava Lakshati Vamshati. It says that 900,000 species that live in water, Jal. There are 2 million non-moving living entities. What are the non-moving living entities? Trees and plants, etc. There are 1.1 million species that belong to insects, reptiles category. There are 1 million species that belong to the bird category. And there are nearly 3 million that belong to the animal category. The 1 million that belong to the bird category, 3 million, and the 400,000 that belong to the human category. In the Bhagavad Gita, 2nd chapter, what does Krishna say about the dusha? It dies? Does the dusha die in Russia? Yes. Na jayate mriyate va kadachin. Never takes birth and never dies. The soul lives on eternally. So we can see that as long as there's consciousness in the dusha, as long as dusha is in the body manifests consciousness. And when the soul dusha leaves the body has no value. So this was explained by Chaitanya Mahaprabhu to Rupa Goswami. Then he describes the measurement of the dusha. What's the measurement of the dusha? So this was explained by Chaitanya Mahaprabhu to Rupa Goswami. I'll read the exact shloka to you. Kishaga shatte bhaga puna satam sakari tadasama shukshma jivera sarupa vichari. This is in Bengali language. The Vedas are composed in Sanskrit and Chaitanya Charitamrita in Bengali. But Bengali is very similar to Sanskrit. So Chaitanya Mahaprabhu first explains the different species of life, 8,400,000. Then he describes the length and breadth of the living entity. If we take the tip of your hair and divide it into 100 parts, then again take one part and divide it into 100 parts. That is the measurement of the self. Isn't that amazing? The soul is so small and your body may be like an elephant. So this is actually the Vedic conclusion. So Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, I just want to tell you devotees that in Lord Chaitanya's instructions to Sanatana and Rupa, there are over a few thousand verses. But I have selected few important ones which you devotees can use in your own cultivation of spiritual life and in your preaching. Because if you want to hear every verse, we'll both have to be here for at least few months. If you all are ready, maybe I'll stay here for a few months. But I'm sure your Lakshmi is going to run out in 1 week. So we'll try and cover it in 1 week. So after explaining the different species of life, different categories of species, after explaining the measurement of the living entity, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu said that the whole category of species can be divided into two, moving and non-moving. Among categories that can move, you have aquatic reptiles, animals, human beings. So the living entity is going through different species of life. And if he's very fortunate, he comes in contact with a pure devotee or the process of devotional service. And he comes in contact with the process of devotional service and he receives the seed of devotional service. So we're all transmigrating to different species of life. And having come to this human life, if you're fortunate enough, you receive the Bhakti Lata Beej. Now, before we get to we do the discussion on Bhakti Lata Beej tomorrow. It's a long discussion. We just want to cover one last point. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu told Rupa Goswami, Krishna Bhakta Niskama Ataiva Shanta Bhakti Mukti Siddhi Kami Sakali Ashanta. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu explains that there are many categories of devotees, but the devotees of Lord Shri Krishna are actually most peaceful. He uses the word Niskama. Have you heard that word Niskama before? What's the meaning of Niskama?
Absence of desires.
Yes, so when you take to a spiritual path and you have desires, then you can't be peaceful. Mukti means material enjoyment. Mukti means liberation. Siddhi means mystic perfection. So Siddhi means, do people want to go on till very late? They're not falling asleep? Anyway, so Krishna's Kaviraj is explaining that there are many different types of transcendentalists. Some take to the process to get some material enjoyment. Some want mukti, liberation. Do all of you want mukti? No?
Yes.
No. Devotees don't even want mukti. May I cut your mukti thosa? Then Siddhi. Siddhi, there are 8 different types of mystic perfection. You read about them in Nectar of Devotion. You can become smaller than the smallest, bigger than the biggest. You can have one siddhi called Prapti Siddhi. Prapti Siddhi is such, you can stand in one place and stretch your hand anywhere. So if you have that Prapti Siddhi, you could just be sitting in your brahmachari ashram or grihastha ashram, stretch your hand and distribute the books and take that dingy. But you don't want Prapti Siddhi, do you? It would probably solve all your economic problems. You can just stay at home, take the money out of any bank's teller, but it will make you lazy, and then it will throw you in mile. So it's better to have to work hard for Krishna rather than get things easy. A devotee of the Lord doesn't hesitate in serving, in working for the Lord. He doesn't mind struggling for Krishna. Once devotees were advising Prabhupada to take rest. Prabhupada was not feeling so well at that time. So they said, Prabhupada, you please go to Gita Nagar farm and take rest there. Prabhupada said, please don't take away my privilege to struggle for Krishna. So when you have to struggle to become Krishna conscious, when you have to struggle to preach Krishna consciousness, you should view that as an opportunity to deepen your dependence on the Lord and the spiritual master. Frankly, we all hate to struggle, am I right? All of you would love, you take a book bag, go on the streets, stand over there with your books, and people line up and say, come on, I want this Gita, come on, I want it. No, I want it. Okay, take it. Then everyone would love to go on some. Because you have to struggle a bit, endeavor, so we get scared of it. So a devotee is not scared of struggling. If you look at the Vedic history, even the Pandavas had to struggle. They had to go through immense difficulties also. In fact, Queen Kunti prays that, my dear Lord, please may my calamities increase. The more my calamities increase, the more I meditate at the lotus feet. And the more I meditate at the lotus feet, the faster do I get freedom from birth and death. So Chaitanya Mahaprabhu explained to Rupa Goswami that according to the karma, the living entities are wandering through different births, different species of life. And if you're very fortunate, you see Bhakti Lata bead. Now once you get the Bhakti Lata bead, I think you devotees know what to do, huh? Or do you want to hear what Chaitanya Mahaprabhu told Rupa Goswami? Vi znajte, vi kakete slušu. Okay, завтра. So we'll start. Hare Krishna.
На этом мы закончим сегодня.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare